Okay, I'm going to chop my. We're going to make this fairly solid, so it's only going to be small. So I've chopped a lump of clay off. You can see the size in my hand there. Doesn't matter what size you do. You can do it a bit bigger, a bit smaller if you want. Roll it into a little bit of a coil, and then I'm just going to flatten down the top and the bottom. We're not trying to make this nice and pretty because it's just a tree stump, so you can leave it. If you want to, you can smooth it out, but I'm just going to leave it nice and rough like that. And then I'm just going to give it a little bit of a decoration. So I'm going to do some like wood grain. So I'm going to use the back of my needle tool, and I'm just going to put a few random dints in it like that. Oh, before I do that, actually, I'm going to hollow it out a little bit. Even though it's fairly small, you could get away with putting that in the kiln, but I'm going to just literally just put a little bit of a hole up the middle like that, and it just makes all the difference. It'll dry out much quicker. Less chance of explosions. So just that's the only hollowing out I'm going to do. Obviously, if you want to, you can do more than that, but it's enough is that for these. So then I'm just going to use my needle tool to draw in the lines. All you do is you just go down, and then when you hit one of the circles, just go around it. I'm just doing this nice and speedy, so you don't have to fuss. It just makes the base more interesting. But obviously you can just add whatever pattern you want to this. Sometimes I use texture plates as well, and I'll just press a texture plate onto it. But I'm doing it this way today because not everybody has texture plates. And to be honest with you, it gives it more of a handmade look, I think, and unique. So that's it for the side, just like a little basic log. And then for the top, you're not going to see much of the top, but I'm just going to do the little rings, sort of just roughly. Like I say, you're not going to, it's not the main part, it's just to make the base a bit more interesting, really. And most of this is going to be covered up by your robin. But it's still nice to do. Okay, so that's your base done. Now we're going to make a little robin to go on top of it. So another lump of clay. You can make your robin as big as you want or as small as you want. Just have it so that it sort of fits onto the stump. Like say you might want it to fill the whole stump, you might just want it a bit smaller. So I'm just going to roll a ball. So I'm going to have my robin sort of that sort of size proportionally. Like I said, it doesn't matter, you can have it a little bit bigger if you want. And I'm just going to leave this solid. If you do want to make it a little bigger, all you have to do is you can hollow this out a little bit more. Put a hole in the top, and then you can hollow the bird out as well. So if you wanted it to dry quicker or it to be lighter, just do that. Just for the sake of ease, I'm literally just going to build this solid because I know it works fine, and it's just less fussing. Okay, so next we're going to make a little ball for the head. Now the main thing with birds is not to make the heads too big because they've only got, proportionally to the body, they've only got tiny little heads. So I'm going to make my head something like that. So compared, you'll be able to fit quite a lot of those in there. So just make sure that it's small. It's really tempting to try and make the head big because it's the main thing, but don't. Now that's going to go on. It's going to go on the front there, but you have it sort of a little bit further back. So don't have it right on the front there. If you have it just slightly further back, then it gives you a lot bigger chest. We want a nice big round chest because it's a robin. So I'm just going to cross hatch that. I'm going to cross hatch. And then I'm going to put my slip on, little blob of slip, and I'm going to connect the two together. So I've got this nice chest area. Just give it a gentle press down, and then I'm going to blend the whole thing in because I want it to look like it's all one part and it's not been stuck on. So I'm just using the back of my metal tool. Always scrape down from the top of the two pieces that you're sticking together. Don't go just around the edge, otherwise you end up with like a strange little indentation where the two pieces meet, and you don't want that. You want it to look like a natural transition. So I'm sort of scraping it so it goes a bit further down. It's sort of a little bit flatter on its back like that. You can use your hands to shape it as you go along as well. sometimes it's a bit hard to get to smooth just where its sort of chin is. So I'm just finishing that off, just giving it a bit of a tap with my hands. Like that. And then I'm going to stick a little bit of tail on as well. So I'm just going to put a little bit of slip on its bum. I'm going to pull a little piece of clay off. So I've literally just pulled a little lump of clay off like that. And I'm going to stick that on. It's just to give it a bit of extra volume. Like that. So I've just stuck it on like a little mound. And then I'm going to shape that into a point. So I'm just blending that all the way up into the body. You see how it's getting that little point now that we can just shape into a tail. We're going to keep it really simple and literally just do it into like a gentle point. We're not doing any detail on it unless you want to. But I'm just doing the really basic shape. And it just makes it really, once it's got some your colours on that, it just looks really nice and simple like that. So we've got the head, the chest, and the little point for the tail. So I'm going to turn it round so it's facing us, and I'm just going to give it, you're not trying to pinch it or anything like that, but I'm just going to give it just really gentle, just a little gentle, not even a pinch really, but just a little press on the side, like that. And then I'm going to put an eye hole in the side there, and an eye hole, looks a bit like a turtle, an eye hole in either side, just a little one. So I've just used the end of my brush, so it's only quite a small eye socket. You can make it a bit smaller than that if you want. Quite a small eye socket there, and then you've got to try and make some circles now. So this is the fiddliest bit. Some tiny little circles just to fit inside there. If you want, you can just leave them just like that. But I think they look nicer with little eyeballs in. So I'll just show you how small they need to be. So that's actually probably too big. That one that I've made, yeah, that's probably too big. I can tell already that's too big. So I'm actually going to, what I tend to do is I'll make one fairly small, and then I'm going to cut it in half. Really tiny. Literally just on the end of my knife like that. Just to make these tiny little balls. It's fiddly, but it's with it because it does look better. Right, I'm just going to use a little bit of water for this. It tends to puddle inside, so you just got to be careful not to put too much in. And then I'm just going to drop those in. I'm going to drop each hand so it's just protruding a little bit. You don't want them like total googly eyes, but it's just protruding a little bit. So it's just better than just a little indentation, I think. And then we're going to stick a beak on. So with the rest of this clay, I'm just going to roll a circle, and then I'm going to roll it into a little point. Now, if you make the beak bigger than you need it, it's much easier than trying to do it with one piece of, trying to just make one tiny little triangle. So I'm going to cut that in half now, and I'm just going to use that end bit there. A tiny little beak. I'm just going to put a little bit of water on the front, or slip. So little water will do, but either way. And then I'm going to just place that right in the middle of the eyes there. Another top tip as well, if you have it a bit low down or a bit higher up, you can have it so that your bird's looking upwards. If you can adjust the beak so it's looking in different directions. You can even have the eyes on, you can have it looking sideways if you want to, but we'll just keep it simple for now. So I'm just going to go around the whole of the beak and just blend it in just a little bit, because it's a bit too small to cross hatch, but we don't want it falling off. So I tend to just drag a little bit of clay across just to make sure it's fixed on properly. Yeah, that's the sort of profile of it. So again, don't make the beak too big. And then I'm just going to put the wings on. So for the wings, I'm literally going to use my metal tool. You could just draw this on with your needle tool if you want, but I find this tool quite nice because it's already got a curve in it. And I'm just using that, just the side of it, and just from the side of its head, there, I'm just going to do a little curve out, a little curve forward, and then backwards, just for its wing. So just a nice little curve going around like that. And again on the other side. So about at the side of his head there. Oh, I've turned him into a he already. and then a nice little curve for the wings. And then I'm just going to round that off a little bit. So I'm using the curve of my tool. If you haven't got one of these, get one. They're great. And I'm just going to use that. You see, I'm just making that wing stand out a little bit more by pressing it into the line that I've drawn, and just pressing down a little bit. Pressing down and just rounding it off into the centre. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to just finish the whole thing off just with a little bit of water and a soft brush. So, you know, you don't need a lot. Don't overload your brushes. Very small things, and a little bit of water goes a really long way. And if you drown it, it can just, especially if you put it on the face, it can end up making it all sloppy. But it does just clean things up a little bit. Or you can use your metal tool, or you can leave it to dry a little bit as well, and then it's easy to clean up as well. It's quite an easy technique. This, and works well. Just smoothing it out a little bit. It gets rid of all the little bits of clay as well if you've got little bits of clay. Okay, so that's the bird done. I'm going to just cross hatch and stick that onto my tree stump. So you can put it right in the middle of what if you want, put it to the side. You can also make a bigger tree stump, and I quite like making a set of 2. So I'm just going to cross hatch, or even 3, or even 10. So you know you can do what you can just make as many as you want of these. They're very enjoyable to make, and those are quite popular. So cross hatch, slip. And just give it a bit of a wiggle on, make sure it's attached, like that. And then we're just going to make the little heart and stick that on as well. So for the heart, if you want to, you can use a stamper, but I'm going to just show you how to make a really simple little heart. And then the whole thing's handmade, which is always better. So I'll just start off with a ball. And then I'm going to just twiddle it around in my hands just to make a little point, like that. Just turn it for the bottom of the heart. And then I'm just going to cut into the top a little bit like that. So cut into the top, pull them apart. And then I'm just going to round off all these sides. So I'm using my lovely metal tool again. And I'm going to round off, because we don't want a sharp heart. We want a soft hard. So you're rounding off all the edges. And again, I'm just going to use a little bit of water just to finish that off. Get rid of any bits. And push it together a bit. You can shape it a little bit more if you want to, but it just gives you a nice chunky little chubby heart. And then I'm going to just cut a little piece of my wire. So again, this is nichrome wire, and it's heat proof, so it can go in the kiln. If you're doing this with air dry clay, you can use the cheaper version of any old wire. These would be nice to do in air dry clay as well, because they're quite robust. So I'm just going to stick the wire into the heart, and then stick the whole thing into the tree stump. And there you have a lovely little robin with a heart. Obviously, it's the thing that makes it a robin is a lovely red breast. So what I'll do once it's fired, I just use underglazers. Get yourself a picture of a robin, red breast, white, brown, and that's what makes it look a lot more robin-like. A little bit of clear glaze over the top. Beautiful. Okay, so that is the end of the robin workshop. This is a free workshop designed to lure you in, and so that you can have a look at my website. The address is on the screen, and I have many more digital workshops available. They're all suitable for complete beginners, but some are a lot more challenging than others. So I've got anything from penguins to hares to smoking dragons. So please feel free to just visit the website, go and have a look. No obligation, of course. If not, you enjoy making the robins, and you can just make many, many, many robins for free.